Part 41. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Chao-Ji Dupang. Chapter 405. The fat cat lying in Chen Ronghuo's arms stared directly at the white tiger under the singing seat during the day, his eyes boiling with desire. It seems that he can no longer hold back and wants to rush forward and fuse the white tiger with himself. At the same time, Bai Tianj also looked past the two sea and sky divine birds, past the fat cat, and landed on Chen Ronghuo, who was wearing a black and red robe. Chen Ronghuo's outfit has hardly changed since he came to this world. Of course, compared to the ordinary robes he wore before, the robe he was wearing now had a completely different appearance. Enhanced version of the Calamity robe, a 7th level mid-grade robe, originally a 7th order low-grade robe. Using the power of the law of natural disasters and the power of the law of curse can increase its power. After activation, 10 disaster dragon shadows can be summoned to protect yourself or attack the enemy. The law of natural disaster increases by add 5, the law of curse increases by add 4. Refiner Chen Ronghuo. This robe is one of Chen Ronghuo's masterpieces over the years. Under this robe, he also wore an inner armor. The inner armor is also an enhanced version of the 7th level inner armor, which can amplify the law of force and also has extremely strong defensive power. With his current weapon refining methods, he can actually only refine 7th level low-grade secret treasures. But with the power of his left hand, he can even get a 7th level mid-level secret treasure. The higher the level, the rarer the treasure. The 7-level mid-level secret treasures belong to the owners of several territories in the 5-colored sea area, and each of them probably only has a few pieces in his hands. Secret treasures are indispensable auxiliary equipment for practitioners. When Chen Ronghuo's cultivation was still low, he could crush the enemy without using secret treasures, so he didn't consider this aspect. But as his cultivation level gets higher and higher, his improvement is slow, and he will have to focus more on this aspect in the future. Chen Ronghuo reached out and stroked the fat cat, telling it not to worry, and then identified the attributes of Mengtian He and Tianj in the distance. Mengtian, half-step 7th level weapon warlock. The divine spear of Palm War. You can improve your cultivation through fighting and leading troops to fight. Qualification, 10. Status, seriously injured. Song of the Day, Tiger Control Warlock at the early stage of the 7th level. Qualifications, 9. White Tiger leads the 13th son of White Tiger Duke. Secret skills, White Tiger 9 transformations, White Tiger roaring to the sky, White Tiger devouring the soul. The Divine Spear of War? It turns out that the opportunity this time is not the White Tiger, but the man named Mengtian. Chen Ronghuo murmured in his heart, a little surprised, it's just that this Tianj is the heir of the White Tiger Grand Duke, I think it's a bit troublesome to snatch food from his tiger's mouth. After so many years, in addition to practicing and studying skills such as alchemy and weapon refining, Chen Ronghuo would also spend a certain amount of time every day to use ancient books to deduce everything he didn't know and could deduce based on his own cultivation. Through deduction, he already knew that the strongest forces in the North Sea in the world of gods were the 10 king-level territories, that is, the 10 king islands. The king's island, that is, the lord on it, has the title of king. At the same time, the 10 king islands all have demigod-level powerhouses stationed there. After reaching the peak of the 9th level, cultivators who want to go further have two choices. One is to choose to break through and become a god. Cultivators who choose this path will undergo a transformation before officially becoming a god. Cultivators who are in this transformation process are called demigods. After the demigod breaks through, he will be promoted to a lower god. Beyond that, there is a way. This path is to find a way to break through and become a 10th level practitioner at the 9th level. It is easier for a 10th level cultivator to break through to the god level, and once he breaks through, he will directly become a mid-level god. However, this path requires very high talent, and those with weak talent will find it difficult to find an opportunity to break through to the 10th level. At the same time, in the continent of the gods, there were some cultivators who defied the will of heaven and chose to become gods after breaking through to the 11th or even 12th level. Such cultivators can directly reach higher gods or even peak gods as soon as they break through. Your Excellency, I am the son of Grand Duke Behu of the White Tiger Territory, and I am chasing the fugitive from my White Tiger Territory. If there is no conflict between you and my White Tiger Territory, I hope you will not block the way. Of course, I would be very grateful if you could help me get this person down. Bai Tianj looked at Chen Ronghuo, his eyes flashing, not wanting to cause trouble. Although the space blade that Dabai Erbe sent out just now was blocked by him, he also realized how extraordinary Chen Ronghuo was. Chen Ronghuo set his sights on Tiantianj. In addition to the 10 strongest king islands in Bihai, there are also 32 Grand Dukes. The 32 Grand Dukes are all 9th level cultivators. The White Tiger Duke of the White Tiger Territory is one of them. Chen Ronghuo's current strength is still far behind, not only compared with the 10 King Islands, but also compared with these dukes. So if he could, he wouldn't want to provoke Bai Tianj now. At the moment, only Bai Tianj was present. The fat cat swallowed the white tiger under his seat, and his cultivation level was able to break through to the 7th level. He saved Meng Tian, and maybe he could take this master of war as his subordinate. Chen Ronghuo took a deep breath, his heart moved. A seal page in the ancient book was quietly activated, sealing all fluctuations in the surrounding area for dozens of miles. He is preventing the message from spreading during the day. I have no grudge against the White Tiger leader, but I do have grudge against you. Suddenly, Chen Ronghuo said deceitfully, Guan Tianshang, the son of Lord Baiyu, met me when we were traveling, and he is my best friend. This time, you killed Baiyu territory for your own selfish reasons and to snatch the secret treasure of Baiyu territory. You exterminated the entire Baiyu territory. I have sworn that I will destroy your Baiyu territory in the future. Chen Ronghuo looked down at Bai Tianj, and his aura rose to the extreme. He said this for Meng Tian to hear. What about being on good terms with the son of the Lord of Baiyu territory? Of course, he made it up. But he has the ancient book. Through deduction, what he said was true and false. Bai Tianj and Meng Tian couldn't tell the difference at all. The best friend of Guan Tianshang, the son of the Lord of Baiyu territory? When Bai Tianj heard what Chen Ronghuo said, he felt a toothache. He didn't know how he could involve so many things when he destroyed Baiyu territory. One Meng Tian was enough, and now Chen Ronghuo appeared. And, I can't think of how Chen Ronghuo got the news and came here to intercept him, since this place is so far from Baiyu territory. When he destroyed Baiyu territory, he had already used a large formation to block the transmission of small messages. However, Bai Tianj had a toothache, but Meng Tian's eyes lit up after hearing Chen Ronghuo's words. It was as if all the relatives around him had passed away, and after running hundreds of thousands of miles, he met his relatives who were separated in the early years in a foreign land. Meng Tian held the god of war, exuding a strong fighting spirit. My friend, I am a good friend of the owner of Baiyu Island, and also the leader of his territory guard team. How about you and I join forces to kill this person and avenge Baiyu Island? That's what I meant. I overestimated my ability. This chapter only has 2,000 words, but I will definitely make it up to 8,000 words today. Thanks to the book friend Xiao Li Fibo for the 1,000 coin reward, and the book friend Kadilan for the 100 coin reward. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 406. Join hands to kill me. Bai Tianj's face turned cold. You said you would join hands to kill me in front of me, do you really think I'm made of mud? He sat on the back of the white tiger and urged it with his consciousness. The white tiger suddenly changed from more than 10 meters to 20 or 30 meters. The whole body exuded a strong tiger power. But after the tiger power was released, Bai Tianj was stunned. He found that this time, the tiger power released by his white tiger did not cause any fluctuations. In the past, if the white tiger under his seat released tiger power, it would be easy to set off a tsunami within hundreds of miles. But this was not the most shocking thing for Bai Tianj. What shocked Bai Tianj the most was that his hand hidden in the purple sleeve crushed a talisman that could summon his men. But after he crushed the talisman, he found that it did not send any information. It was like a candle was just lit and extinguished by the wind. He didn't know that in order to seal all the fluctuations that could transmit information, Chen Ronghuo even used part of the energy accumulated in the ancient book this time. Bai Tianj is the son of the White Tiger Grand Duke. If Chen Ronghuo wants to attack him, he must hide all the factors that may leak information. Otherwise, Fan Changdong and the others will not be able to find Chen Ronghuo's river crab leader, but if the White Tiger Grand Duke, who is a 9th level cultivator, comes here to find him, it may not be possible. Bai Tianj took a deep breath. From the time Chen Ronghuo appeared to the time he said that he destroyed Baiyu Island, there was mystery everywhere. Facing the mysterious Chen Ronghuo and Meng Tian, although he acted calm, in fact, just in case, he made the decision to summon his men at the first time. At this time, he saw that his plan was shattered, and his heart immediately sank to the bottom of the valley. When Meng Tian heard that Chen Ronghuo agreed to join forces with him, he immediately shook the bronze spear in his hand and rushed to Bai Tianj to kill. The fierce killing intent was released, just like a general fighting on the battlefield, who would not return until he died. Of course, the killing intent he released also only made him look a little fiercer, but it could not spread this killing intent to the area where all fluctuations were sealed by Chen Ronghuo. When Bai Tianj saw Meng Tian coming to kill him, he, who had been fighting with Meng Tian for a long time before, immediately bent down, lay on the back of the white tiger, controlled the white tiger, raised the tiger claws, and greeted Meng Tian's attack. However, unlike before, this time Bai Tianj lay on the back of the white tiger, and after a while of etherealization, he disappeared. It was as if he had merged with the white tiger. Roar! The white tiger's eyes were red, and in the roar, with a bang, Meng Tian was slapped away with his gun. At this time, the white tiger was controlled by Bai Tianj. However, after knocking Meng Tian away with one blow, Bai Tianj's eyes showed no joy at all, because he found that although the roar of the white tiger had an impact on Meng Tian, it only spread a few hundred meters away, and all the sounds disappeared strangely. It was as if there was a ghost den hidden around the sea area. In the silence, Bai Tianj's face was as dark as water. He looked at Chen Ronghuo, knowing that all this must be Chen Ronghuo's fault. You can't escape, no one will come to save you. Chen Ronghuo's eyes were spinning deep, like the dead abyss of the dark night sky. As soon as Bai Tianj met his eyes, he was sucked by the depth in his eyes and could not escape. At this time, Chen Ronghuo had burned the power of faith. Fighting with others, especially fighting with people like Bai Tianj who have huge troubles, all temptations are to make yourself uncomfortable. Boom! After using the soul secret technique to freeze Bai Tianj, Chen Ronghuo's body shook, and the surging power under his skin instantly gathered into a torrent and reached his palm. As his palm changed into the shape of a tiger's claw, this power fused with his palm with a bang, breaking through the void and grabbing Bai Tianj. Roar! Bai Tianj, who had merged with the white tiger, finally reacted when Chen Ronghuo's tiger claw approached. A look of horror appeared in his eyes, and after a roar, he hurriedly raised his claws to meet it. Seal! Chen Ronghuo gently uttered a word and used the sealing ability of the ancient book. Over the years, the power accumulated by the ancient book was enough to freeze Bai Tianj for a second. 1 second was enough for Chen Ronghuo to do many things. But this time, Chen Ronghuo did not use the power of the ancient book, but only used his soul power to activate the ancient book and seal Bai Tianj's power for a moment. The ancient book is very useful. Chen Ronghuo thinks it is not worthwhile to consume the power of the ancient book to deal with Bai Tianj. Of course, the most important thing is, if he can deal with it, why waste it? Boom! The void exploded. A white shadow stained with blood flew backwards. It was Bai Tianj and the white tiger under his seat who merged into one. Bai Tianj's strength is not weak. If he goes all out, he can even tie with an ordinary 7th level mid-stage cultivator. But Chen Ronghuo burned the power of faith, and his strength is almost comparable to that of the 7th level late stage. In addition, he used the sealing ability of the ancient book, and Bai Tianj was seriously injured by him with just one blow. In the distance, Meng Tian, who had just stood firm and was about to attack Bai Tianj again, was slightly stunned. He didn't expect Chen Ronghuo's strength to be so strong. Bai Tianj, who had beaten him almost powerlessly before, had almost no resistance against Chen Ronghuo. Swish! Two big white birds flew out from under Chen Ronghuo, like two white lightnings. After approaching Bai Tianj, who was hit by Chen Ronghuo and flew away, the two birds' wings fluttered, and each sent out a space-cutting blade, which crossed and struck towards Bai Tianj. Meow! The fat cat roared at the white tiger in the distance that merged with Bai Tianj. With a roar, Bai Tianj's body suddenly weakened under his control. It was a feeling as if a mortal had not eaten for more than 10 days. At this time, the attacks of the two sea and sky divine birds had arrived. Bai Tianj reluctantly raised his claws to greet them, but with a bang, his body violently retreated back again, blood spilling into the sky. At this time, a layer of beast armor appeared on the white tiger's body. However, this layer of beast armor could not completely withstand the blow from the two sea and sky divine birds just now. Roar! Tianji roared, and after forcing himself to steady his body, he looked at Chen Ronghuo with red eyes. At this time, Chen Ronghuo had approached him again. The sound produced by Tianj can be transmitted, but it can only be transmitted tens of meters away at most. He stared at Chen Ronghuo, who was getting closer and closer to him. You guys underestimate the methods of our white tiger leader. If I don't die today, I will definitely seek revenge from you. But if I die here, my father will definitely take action himself and seek revenge on you. You avenge me. You think you are hiding well, but I, the white tiger leader, have the means to find your hiding place. Chen Ronghuo shook his head, and while harassing Tianj with the power of the law of tribulation, the law of curse, and the law of soul, he raised his fist and struck at Tianj repeatedly. Under Chen Ronghuo's continuous attacks, Tianj vomited out an unknown amount of blood with just dozens of punches, and his whole body was stained with blood. Under his fierce attack, even Meng Tian in the distance had no room to intervene. You, really want to fight to the death with our white tiger leader? Tianji's eyes were red, and he felt like he was about to be torn apart by Chen Rong's fire hammer. Till death? That's not necessarily the case. A smile appeared on Chen Ronghuo's face, but in order to make sure that I and you Bai who will fight to the death in the future, you should die once. Boom! Chen Ronghuo's whole body surged with power, and he used the sealing page of the ancient book to seal part of Bai Tianj's power, and at the same time, he unleashed his strongest punch. With this punch, Bai Tianj, who finally couldn't hold on anymore, was immediately knocked far away by his punch. With a pop, he fell into the sea, splashing a large amount of sea water. Tianji, who fell into the sea, suddenly changed into his previous appearance of one person and one tiger after a slight flash. The huge white tiger was lying on its side in the sea water, motionless. Tianji opened his eyes, still breathing a little. But Chen Ronghuo passed the appraisal and knew that he would definitely not survive. Meow. The fat cat that was thrown away by Chen Ronghuo before saw the scene and immediately turned into a streak of orange lightning and flew over the body of the white tiger that fell into the sea. He opened his big mouth and swallowed the white tiger whole into his stomach. 7th level. The fat cat has bright eyes. As long as it swallows this white tiger, it won't take long for it to advance to the 7th level. By then, it will be almost the first to advance to the 7th level in the entire river crab territory. The fat cat narrowed his eyes, and the chubby cat's face was full of smiles. In fact, it can also be cultivated on its own. It's just that although its talent is extraordinary, no matter how extraordinary it is, how can it be as satisfying as being able to advance by just eating it? There will be another chapter later. Thanks to book friend 201703271528277723 for the 100 coin reward, and book friend 5woseeing for the 100 coin reward. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Dupeng. Chapter 407. Brother Meng, I'll leave this person to you. Seeing the fat cat swallowing the 7th level white tiger into its belly, Chen Ronghuo turned his head and set his eyes on Meng Tian. Thank you. Meng Tian nodded slightly to Chen Ronghuo. He didn't think much about how Chen Ronghuo knew his name. I just thought that Chen Ronghuo heard this from Guan Tianshang, the son of the island owner of Baiyu Island. Meng Tian turned his attention to Tianj, who separated from the white tiger, fell into the water, and stretched out his hand as if to ask for help. He took one step forward and reached the sky above by Tianj. With a flick of the spear, like a bronze divine dragon, it landed on Tianj's body with a bang. In an instant, Tianji's entire body was scattered with the spear and turned into nothingness. Finally, revenge. Just killing the queen of the day, Meng Tian couldn't help but feel a little confused while he was enjoying himself. I don't know where I will go in the future. He knew that he was in charge of the divine spear of war and had great potential. But no matter how strong the potential is, it is just potential. The White Tiger Grand Duke of the White Tiger leader, that 9th level powerhouse, may be as high as a mountain to him for a long time to come. Chen Ronghuo flashed and came to Meng Tian and suggested, Brother Meng, the matter is over. If you have no other place to go, how about you come to live with me for a while? There was a big battle just now, and I have used my means to stop all movement. But you have probably attracted some people's attention after fighting against Bai Tianj all the way here. Good. Meng Tian hesitated for a moment and then agreed, also, my name is Meng Tian. I don't know about this brother. Chen Ronghuo had just saved his life, and now Chen Ronghuo invited him, and he had to refuse. At the same time, he now even knows what Chen Ronghuo's name is, which makes him feel even more ashamed. My name is Chen Ronghuo. I run a small territory and am living in Wuzhe district. If Brother Meng doesn't mind, please come to my territory with me first. In addition, this is Fat Cat, this is Dabai, and Erbe. Chen Ronghuo introduced himself with a smile. Meng Tian nodded slightly. Chen Ronghuo said that he ran a small territory in Wuzhe district, and he believed him. Although Chen Ronghuo's strength seemed very strong, and although the original Baiyu territory was a bit far away from the Five-Color Sea area, he still knew that there was no one like Chen Ronghuo among the several famous marquee-level territories in the Five-Color Sea area. Clang! Clang! The Haitian divine bird carried Chen Ronghuo and Meng Tian very fast and flew towards the direction of Xieling. Meng Tian's face turned pale, and he was seriously injured this time. Just standing on the back of the divine bird of the sea, he didn't care about his injuries. Instead, he held the bronze divine spear of war and rubbed its lines with his hand, his eyes blank. He is still not sure where his future path will be. At this moment, Chen Ronghuo suddenly took out a pill bottle and poured out a white, smooth, and round pill. Enhanced version of Black Jade Healing Pill, 7th level mid-grade. It can quickly heal most injuries of 7th level practitioners. Bone renewal at 14, blood circulation at 18, raw meat at 12, soul nourishment at 8. Refiner, Chen Ronghuo. Brother Meng, This is the elixir I refined. It should have some effect on your injury. You take it first and heal the injury as soon as possible. Otherwise, procrastinating like this is not the way to go. Brother Chen, do you still know how to make alchemy? Meng Tian was extremely surprised. From the previous battle between Chen Ronghuo and Tian Tianj, he thought Chen Ronghuo was a pure warrior. However, the appearance of Shamao and Dabai Erbe made him think that Chen Ronghuo should also work part-time as a magician. Only now did he know that Chen Ronghuo was still doing research on alchemy. Chen Ronghuo said modestly, I just know a little bit about it. Meng Tian shook his head and said nothing. He just took the elixir and swallowed it in one gulp. When the elixir entered his mouth, it immediately turned into a majestic and gentle medicinal power, quickly repairing Meng Tian's injuries. Meng Tian moved slightly. He didn't know much about elixirs, but judging from the medicinal power emitted by this elixir, he knew that this elixir was definitely as high as the 7th level. At the same time, only 7th level elixirs could have an immediate effect on his injuries. He is actually a 7th level alchemist. Meng Tian shook his head secretly, somewhat confused about Chen Ronghuo. Buzz. 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 Suddenly, just as Chen Ronghuo and his party were rushing towards the river crab leader, purple beams of light suddenly shot up into the sky in the distance in the north direction. There are about 7 or 8 beams in total. One after another, they rose into the sky, and then quickly dissipated. That's our Haitian island. When Dabai and Erbe looked in that direction, they suddenly said in surprise, Master, what's going on? Where is the light coming from there? It won't be our old Haitian island. Is there any treasure about to be revealed? Chen Ronghuo glanced in that direction and narrowed his eyes. Then he turned to the 2 sea and sky divine birds that he had subdued and said, There's no such thing as a treasure. In your shabby place, even a bird doesn't poop. Where did the treasure come from? Dabai and Erbe were immediately choked by Chen Ronghuo and couldn't say a word. There's nothing wrong with that. On that Haitian island, there were only 2 birds, the couple. But as half-step 6th level practitioners, they naturally no longer need to pull. They were confused and didn't know where the light came from. But seeing that Chen Ronghuo didn't seem to be interested in this, he didn't ask any more questions and continued to carry Chen Ronghuo and Meng Tian quickly towards the direction of Xia leader. It's a pity that Huang Lin is trapped in the cursed temple. Otherwise, with his help, I would have broken through to the 7th level long ago. On the way back to the Hexian territory, Chen Ronghuo couldn't help but think. Huanglin had already broken through to the 7th level in advance because of refining the snake tail of the Jiatuo snake mother that he had obtained over the years. Unfortunately, when he was trapped in the 5 directions mystic formation for 19 years, Huanglin followed the guidance of the map he gave him and had already left the territory of Shenyang and arrived at the territory of the 106 demon-sealed lands. The territory of hundreds of barbarians. On the map that Chen Ronghuo got from the Black Snake's storage ring, the cursed temple containing the Mongadu Black Emperor Snake's dagger was recorded in the Baiman territory. After Huanglin entered the cursed temple, he was trapped inside for some unknown reason and could not come out. Chen Ronghuo calculated that Huanglin was not seriously injured. There is even a chance of getting a big opportunity. But Huanglin might have to work hard to get out of that cursed temple. Arrive. Shaking his head secretly, Chen Ronghuo finally led Meng Tian to a wide sea. Meng Tian looked around in confusion. Looking around here, there is no raised island at all. Chen Ronghuo smiled and waved, breaking the sea surface, leading Meng Tian towards the bottom of the sea. Brother Chen, you built your territory under the sea. Seeing this scene, Meng Tian was a little stunned. It's not the bottom of the sea. Chen Ronghuo shook his head. My territory is called the river crab territory, and it is on the back of one of my demon pet, the river crab. Soon. Chen Ronghuo took Meng Tian to the bottom of the sea. The big river crab sensed Chen Ronghuo's return and immediately activated the law of Earth to create a sea mud vortex channel on the bottom of the sea that reached directly to its back. Whoosh! Chen Ronghuo held the fat cat in his arms, and together with Mengtian and two divine birds of the sea and sky, passed through the sea mud vortex and landed on the back of the big river crab. So big. At this time, the huge dark body of the big river crab finally fell into Mengtian's eyes. Mengtian's eyes showed shock. This was the first time he saw such a huge creature. However, what still puzzled him was that he did not feel the slightest breath of life on the back of the big river crab. "Brother Meng, please come with me. My territory is in a plane refined by my spiritual pet." Chen Ronghuo smiled and spoke. And as he finished speaking, De Hixie suddenly moved, and a space light gate immediately appeared in front of Chen Ronghuo and Mengtian. "A seat?" Mengtian suddenly showed an expression of emotion. "The plane is a treasure that only the 10 King Islands in the North Sea possess." But what Mengtian didn't know was that Chen Ronghuo's plane was an attribute plane. Attribute planes are more precious artifacts than ordinary planes. After Dehi Crab refines the Earth attribute plane that Chen Ronghuo took out from the seal page of the ancient book, this plane can become larger and larger as Dehi Crab's cultivation improves. However, after the ordinary plane is formed, its size will be fixed and will not change in any way. This is a space light door temporarily opened by the big river crab. This light gate is connected to the sky above Lord Chen Ronghuo's mansion in the river crab world. Through the space light gate, a small world appeared in Mengtian's eyes. Mengtian stood in the void, taking in the world of river crab at a glance, and took a deep breath. He is the wielder of the divine spear of war and has great potential. But what Chen Ronghuo showed him today, if it were placed outside, would probably cause a much stronger shock than him, the wielder of the divine spear of war. Wrong. Suddenly, Mengtian's pupils condensed. Inexplicably, he felt that this small world seemed a little different from the big world outside. But what exactly was different, he couldn't tell for a while. "The flow of time in my world is 20 times faster than outside. 1 year outside, 20 years here." Seemingly seeing Mengtian's doubts, Chen Ronghuo explained with a smile. 20 times, time flow rate. Mengtian was stunned for a moment. Dynasty, Hosan, and others are actually people with little knowledge. But the well-informed Mengtian knew what it meant to have a world that could speed up time 20 times. This means that once the world of river crab is known to the big forces, everyone will go crazy and want to take Chen Ronghuo's world as their own. Just as the shock in Mengtian's heart became stronger each time, Chen Ronghuo suddenly said, "Brother Meng, we have a common enemy. You are in charge of the divine spear of war and have great potential, but it takes time to grow. I can provide you with the time and resources to grow. Now I invite you to join our river crab territory and serve as the commander of the 5th Army of our river crab territory. What do you think?" Currently, there are only 4 people in the river crab territory who hold the position of Legion Commander. They are Wang Chao, Hosan, Zhang Ji, and Chang Sun Yi. Among them, Chang Sun Yi is a pure martial artist. But over the years, she has made rapid progress with the supply of various weird elixirs provided by Chang Sun Gengjiang. Together with her 2 elder brothers, Chang Sun Ping, Chang Sunan, and her younger brother Chang Sunchen, the combined strength of the 4 of them is not to be underestimated, and they can support an army. The Lord saved my life and was willing to take me in, so I naturally had no choice but to agree. Mengtian took a deep breath and bowed to Chen Ronghuo. Chen Ronghuo did not show any joy on his face, but suddenly asked, "Then, if I tell Brother Meng that I don't know Guantian Shang, and the reason why I know about Bio territory is completely through other channels. And the reason why I killed Bai Tianj was actually for you, Brother Meng. Some things are better to be made clear now, otherwise if there is any accident in the future, if Mengtian knows the truth, I am afraid there will be a knot in his heart. At that time, it will be difficult for him to smooth out this knot." And he chose to tell this matter at this time, when Meng Tian just agreed to join the Hexi territory, because after getting along with each other, he was sure of Meng Tian's character, and he would not regret it even if he knew the truth of the matter. Hearing Chen Ronghuo's words, Meng Tian was immediately stunned. After a moment, he bowed again, "Thank you, Lord, for telling me the truth. From now on, I will do my best to fight for the Hexi territory." He is not a fool. When Chen Ronghuo and he killed Bai Tianj together, Chen Ronghuo had already stood on the opposite side of the White Tiger territory. And this is enough for him. At the same time, this is also because he knows. He is afraid that he will only have the opportunity to take revenge in the future if he follows Chen Ronghuo. What Chen Ronghuo showed him in a short time can really be said to be completely beyond his expectations. Ha 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 ha. Chen Ronghuo finally smiled and showed a happy look on his face. I believe that Brother Meng will not regret today's choice in the future. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 408. Behind White Tiger Collar. The burly White Tiger Grand Duke sits on his lord's throne like a majestic mountain. But his eyes were so cold. Panbo has met the Lord. A man wearing bronze armor walked into the White Tiger Hall. Grand Duke White Tiger cast his gaze on the man in bronze armor. "Panbo, my son Tianj was killed not long ago. Go and find out where he went recently and who did it. He has more than 100 children. Each heir has his own life, and usually, he doesn't care about it. But now Tianj died in the hands of someone unknown, but he couldn't ignore it." Yes. Panbo looked stern, knowing that this time things were going to be big. The Duke of White Tiger has been sitting in the position of Duke of White Tiger for 70 or 80,000 years. But in the past 70,000 to 80,000 years, one of the descendants of Duke White Tiger died on average every 10,000 years due to various reasons. Not long before Bai Tianj's death, the 72nd son of Grand Duke White Tiger had just been assassinated. He knew that within a few years, two of his heirs had died one after another. Given the Duke's temperament, he would surely launch a massacre to pay homage to his two children. Turbid Yellow Sea area. What a big noise. Although Chen Ronghuo covered up all the fluctuations during his battle with Bai Tianj, before that, Bai Tianj chased Meng Tian and the sound of the fierce battle between the two was still sensed by Fan Changdong. Fan Changdong raised his eyebrows. He didn't know where the strong man came from, fighting fiercely in his own sea area. However, not long after the fierce battle between Tianj and Meng Tian, Chen Ronghuo rushed over. As soon as Fan Changdong was about to move to check, he found that all the battle fluctuations in the distance had disappeared. Buzz. Buzz. Suddenly, streaks of purple light soared into the sky from the direction of Haitian Island, like purple rainbows soaring into the sky. Fan Changdong's eyebrows jumped. What's going on? As soon as he had an idea, he called one of his men and said, "Go to the direction of Haitian Island and see what's going on there." Yes. The subordinate agreed and quickly flew away from Haitian Island. Troubled times. After his men left, Fan Changdong sighed. Chen Ronghuo and He Xieling, who appeared briefly 3 years ago, have always made him feel uneasy. In particular, he often imagined that if he went crazy 3 years ago and chose to agree to Chen Ronghuo and become a member of the River Crab leader, he didn't know what he would do now. Of course, he just thought about this idea. Now he is the lord of a sea area, but what can he gain if he joins the River Crab territory? Chayun. Fan Changdong took a deep breath. Apart from the He Xieling who was hiding somewhere, the one who made him feel most uneasy was the Qi Yunling. The old monster known as Chayun ancestor has not appeared for many years. The calm before the storm, Fan Changdong always had a bad feeling in his heart. Grown-ups. After a while, the men he sent out quickly came back. After my subordinates rushed to Haitian Island, they found that Ziji leader, Qingtian leader and Chayun leader had all sent people there. However, except for some residual spatial fluctuations, my subordinates found nothing else there. The subordinates suspected that there might be a hidden ruins or an alien space there. It's just that the ruins or alien space were opened for a moment and then closed again. Alien space, ruins. Fan Changdong narrowed his eyes. Thinking about it, he suddenly took out a red light communication talisman and sent a message to Yun Zhengxian, Gong Xiao of Qingtian territory in Ziyun territory, and Qiu Yaru, the lord of Qingyu territory in Qingtian Sea territory. Information. River crab collar. You said, there won't really be any treasures coming out near our Haitian island, right? After following Chen Ronghuo back to the river crab territory, Dabai remembered the strange thing he had seen before and couldn't help but ask Herbe. How do I know? Herbe shook his head, but even if there is a treasure on Haitian island, so what? No matter how good the treasure is, it won't be as comfortable as us living here. 2. Dabai was startled. But then he reacted. It is now in the river crab territory. Not only is it accelerated 20 times at all times, but it is also able to receive the power of faith from Chen Ronghuo. It estimated that under normal time flow, in a few years, it would be able to break through to the 7th level. Moreover, it then thought that perhaps its master did not care about the treasures that might appear on Haitian island. Instead, he thought that even if there was a treasure there, and the treasure was taken away by the lords of other territories, his own master could take it back soon. After Chen Ronghuo subdued Mengtian and introduced Mengtian to his subordinates, he returned to his secret room and began a new round of retreat. That is to say, just like before, he spends his days refining weapons, elixirs, making talismans, and researching various things that interest him. Relics. However, while in seclusion, he thought of the strange situation on Haitian island and couldn't help but shake his head. Not long ago, Zhen Sanqian had completed the exploration of the ruins left by the Zhen family in the deep blue sea. There are a lot of treasures in that ruins, including even 8th and 9th level treasures. However, most of the treasures are protected by separate formation restrictions. Even with 3,000 formations, it is difficult to take out all those treasures with the current level of cultivation. The ruins are indeed ruins. Time passed quickly in Chen Ronghuo's retreat. Under normal time flow, 10 years passed quickly. In these 10 years, including the previous 3 years, Chen Ronghuo has spent a full 260 years with 20 times the time acceleration. In such a long time, not to mention anything else, the population of the river crab world has increased tenfold. From the original population of more than 100 million, it has reached more than 1 billion today. And this is the result of Chen Ronghuo's implementation of family planning in the world of river crabs. Fortunately, the cultivation level of the big river crab has improved rapidly in these years, and the world of the river crab has also expanded rapidly. Otherwise, the original world would not be able to accommodate so many people. On this day, purple rainbows rose into the sky again in the direction of Haitian Island. This time, there were hundreds of purple rainbows rising into the sky. Almost all the forces in the entire 5-color sea area discovered this scene. With such a large-scale purple rainbow erupting, Fan Changdong could no longer bear it and took action himself and rushed to Haitian Island. When he rushed to Haitian Island, Yun Zhengxian from Ziji territory and Gong Xiao from Qingtian territory also rushed over. After they arrived at Haitian Island, they glanced at it. Not far in front of Haitian Island, they saw a large underwater palace shadow under the blue sea. The underwater temple swayed in the rippling seawater, like a phantom, and seemed to be in another world apart from them. Boom! Yun Zhengxian transformed into a huge handprint and patted it underwater. He found that after evaporating a large amount of seawater, his handprint could not touch the large underwater palace at all. Seeing this scene, Yun Zhengxian's eyes flashed and he was not too surprised. This underwater palace should be in a nearby alien space. This illusory palace complex is an illusory image of that alien space presented in the sea water, and it is not a real existence. However, the alien space where this palace complex is located probably has a hidden space passage nearby. The two purple rainbows soaring into the sky should be some kind of vision in this underwater temple, which spread to the outside through this hidden space passage. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 409. Yin. In Xuanhuan territory, the astonishing sound of dragon roars came from the forbidden volcano in Xuanhuan territory and spread throughout the entire Xuanhuan territory. Finally it worked. Ancestor Qiyun showed a hint of joy on his face and made a secret to open the weapon refining furnace in front of him. As the weapon refining furnace was opened, a red rainbow immediately flew out of the weapon refining furnace and turned into a soaring sword dragon. It flew around the bottom of the volcano and fell into the hands of Patriarch Xuanhuan, causing a wave of heat. Excellent. Or half step to the 8th level. Ancestor Xuanhuan grasped the hilt of the red dragon sword with one hand and rubbed the strange lines on the sword with the other hand. The excitement on his face never faded for a long time. He is a swordsman. This is his natal sword. This time he rebuilt his natal sword, which took more than 10 years to advance to the 8th level, and his combat effectiveness also increased accordingly. He has a 7th level peak cultivation level, and with this sword, his combat power is almost half a step ahead of an 8th level cultivator. After so many years of stalemate, it's time to end. The roaring sound of the dragon came from the fiery red sword in the hand of Patriarch Xuanhuan, as if a flaming evil dragon was trapped inside. As the strongest person in the five-colored sea area, he naturally had the desire to unify the entire five-colored sea area for a long time. Also, Jinming. Suddenly, Patriarch Xuanhuan's face darkened, thinking of Meng Jinming who was killed by Chen Ronghuo. Whether it's the two sea and sky divine birds or the so-called river crab leader who kill you, I will avenge you. Call out. Patriarch Xuanhuan threw the long sword in his hand, and it turned into a fiery red stream of light and rushed into his body. The sword master's natal sword can be integrated with it. After integrating the newly forged sword into his body, Ancestor Xuanhuan's momentum obviously increased, as if he had changed from the fire of a mountain to the fire of a mountain range. And it reveals the unique sharpness of the law of sword. Whoosh! Then he moved and flew out from the forbidden area of the volcano. Lord! As soon as he flew out of the forbidden area of the volcano, he saw Yu Jingchen, one of the only two 7th level cultivators in his territory besides him, rushing over. What's going on? Patriarch Xuanhuan spoke calmly, with a calm expression as if Mount Tai had collapsed before his eyes. Lord, the purple rainbow that appeared on Haitian Island 10 years ago has appeared again. This time, there are hundreds of purple rainbows. Not long ago, my subordinates went to investigate from afar and found that the lords of Zhouhuang territory, Ziji territory, and Qingtian territory all rushed there. There, it seems that a large ruins is about to appear. The three major lords have not returned from there yet. The emergence of large-scale ruins. Are those three guys on Haitian Island now? It's good to be together. When Patriarch Xuanhuan heard this, he was startled at first, but then an inexplicable smile appeared on his face. Being together will save me trouble. River Crab Collar. Are you all ready? Chen Ronghuo sat on the Lord's throne and looked at the dynasty below, including Ho San, Meng Tian, Zhang Ji, Chang Sunyi, Zhu Deipen, Li Haishui, and others, with a hint of relief in his eyes. Time has accelerated by 260 years, and the population of the river crab territory has increased tenfold, and the power of faith has naturally increased with the tide. With the supply of a large amount of power of faith, today's Ho San of the dynasty and others have all reached the 7th level. Moreover, their cultivation levels are not at the early 7th level, but have all reached the mid-7th level. In fact, when the cultivation of Wang Chao and others reached the early stage of 7th level, Chen Ronghuo wanted to take over the five-color sea area. But through calculation, he knew that in the past few years, someone in the White Tiger territory had been in this area, secretly exploring the hands of Tianj's death, so he finally endured it. Otherwise, if the White Tiger territory learns about his killing of Bai Tianj and even has a hint of suspicion, with his current strength, he may have to hide until his cultivation level is enough. Lord, don't worry, this time we will assist the Lord in one fell swoop and win the five-colored sea area. Upon hearing Chen Ronghuo's inquiry, Cao Cao and others spoke and made guarantees. After so many years of training, they are not only more loyal to Chen Ronghao, but also have full confidence in their own strength. In that case, let's proceed as planned. With a smile on his face, Chen Ronghuo stood up from the Lord's throne. This time, he wants to take down the entire five-color sea area in one fell swoop. Moreover, Patriarch Xuanhuan, Fan Changdong and others must not be able to escape. Now his cultivation has been completely surpassed by his subordinates. But as long as he can capture the five-color sea area in one fell swoop this time and remove all Patriarch Xuanhuan and others, the power of faith he has gained will definitely allow him to greatly improve his cultivation level in a short period of time. Haitian Island. After some analysis, Fan Changdong, Yun Zhengxian, and Gong Xiao all took the time to find the entrance to the nearby alien space near Haitian Island. The sight of the ruins presented in the sea water is extraordinary at first sight. In the world of the gods, there are often lucky people who soar into the sky because they obtain some kind of treasure or gain huge rewards from exploring ruins. Although the three of them are 7th-level cultivators and the owners of a marquee-level territory, the thoughts in their hearts are even stronger than those of ordinary people. Because they all know that this is a world where strength is respected. Clang. Suddenly, a bird chirped from a distance. The three looked up and saw a woman in golden armor, stepping on the back of a black giant eagle and flying over quickly. Qiu Yaru. Seeing this woman, the three people looked different. This woman was the lord of Qingyu territory, Qiu Yaru, who was in the Qingtian Sea with Gong Xiao. Yin. Seeing Qiu Yaru coming, Gong Xiao's face suddenly sank, but just as he was about to speak, he heard a dragon roar coming from another direction. He turned his head and saw the old ancestor Qi Yun in a red robe, stepping on a flaming sword, rushing over from a distance like red lightning. Ha 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 ha, it's better to come at the right time than to come early. As the old ancestor Qi Yun approached, he laughed loudly, rampantly. The old ancestor Qi Yun actually came too. When Fan Changdong and others saw the old ancestor Qi Yun, their expressions were all stern. At the same time, Gong Xiao suppressed his resentment and no longer minded Qiu Yaru's arrival. He, Fan Changdong, and Yun Zhengxian worked together to suppress the Qiun Patriarch. But if Qiu Yaru turned to the Qiun Patriarch because of his disagreement with him, it would be too dangerous for him. I haven't seen you for more than 10 years. My hands are itching. You guys take my sword and see. At this time, after the Qiun Patriarch approached, he waved his hand, and the flame dragon roar flying sword under his feet turned into a long flame dragon with the sound of dragon roar, sweeping towards Fan Changdong and the other two. Qiun has become stronger again. Seeing the attacking Qiun Patriarch, the three people's faces changed, and they hurriedly set up layers of defense. Swish! The flame dragon roar sword flashed in the void. Every time it flashed, it attacked the three people once. In just a moment, the three people retreated hundreds of meters in the void. The three people's faces changed wildly, revealing incredible expressions. Half step to the 8th level, Qi Yun is now half step to the 8th level. The three of them joined forces, but they were no match for the ancestor Qi Yun. The ancestor Qi Yun's strength must have reached the half step to the 8th level. Qiu Yaru, aren't you going to do it? Suddenly, Gong Xiao shouted at Qiu Yaru who was rushing from another direction. If I want to do it, I will do it. Qiu Yaru snorted disdainfully. But after she finished speaking, she still took out her sword. Seeing this scene, Fan Changdong and the other two breathed a sigh of relief, knowing that Qiu Yaru was still concerned about the overall situation. Boom! But before their battle continued, a violent roar suddenly sounded in the distance, and then they saw a huge monster coming out from the water. What a lively scene! A figure stood on the back of the huge monster and laughed. Chen Ronghuo. When Fan Changdong saw the person coming, his eyes narrowed immediately. He didn't expect Chen Ronghuo to show up at this time. Who is he from? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 410. Boom. The overwhelming momentum was released from Chen Ronghuo and the big river crab, like a blazing flame. With the arrival of Chen Ronghuo, the situation in the field suddenly changed. Fan Changdong, Yun Zhengxian, and Gong Xiao stopped fighting with the old ancestor Qiun. Qiu Yaru, who was standing on the back of the black giant eagle and was about to rush over to join the battlefield, also stopped. Chen Ronghuo and the river crab leader did not appear for a long time, but several major forces in the Five Colors Sea knew the existence of Chen Ronghuo and the river crab leader. Knowing Fan Changdong, he had suffered a great loss at the hands of Chen Ronghuo twice. Especially at this time, the momentum exuded by Chen Ronghuo and the big river crab was somewhat amazing. This river crab. Fan Changdong set his eyes on the big river crab under Chen Ronghuo and frowned slightly. The aura on Chen Ronghuo's body was still obscure and difficult to understand, making it impossible to see his specific cultivation. But after not seeing each other for more than 10 years, he could clearly sense that the aura emitted by the big river crab under Chen Ronghuo's seat was obviously many times stronger than that of more than 10 years ago. Not only the strength, but even the size of the big river crab has increased several times in the past 10 years. This makes the big river crab, which was originally a huge monster, even more horrifying. He has lived long enough. But even in the deepest waters of the North Sea, huge monsters like big river crabs are extremely rare. Not to mention that the size of the big river crab can actually increase again in just a dozen years. This river crab has broken through. Fan Changdong's eyes were shining, and he was a little uneasy. For more than 10 years, Chen Ronghuo had not appeared, but he appeared at this time, which made his bad premonition reach its peak. He even wondered if the killing of Meng Jinming was a cover released by the Qiun territory. Has Chen Ronghuo secretly joined forces with the Qiun Patriarch? If that's the case, then this time, they might be in danger. Chen Ronghuo. At the same time, seeing Chen Ronghuo coming out to disrupt the situation, the old ancestor Qiyun suddenly released a shocking killing intent. His pair of red eyes fell on Chen Ronghuo, like a red-eyed venomous snake staring at an enemy. Being watched by the 5 people, Qiyun, Fan Changdong, Yun Zhengxian, Gong Xiao, and Qiu Yaru, Chen Ronghuo was not nervous at all. Although the big river crab did not enjoy the acceleration of time in these years, with the help of the power of faith, it has completely refined the Earth attribute star core that it had been lucky enough to get. It broke through to the early stage of the 7th level in one fell swoop. The early stage of the 7th level big river crab, with the power of the double spears of the power god and its own powerful talent, can definitely exert the power comparable to that of a late 7th level cultivator. Even ordinary late 7th level cultivators may not be its opponents. In addition to his own group of subordinates, in fact, the current Chen Ronghuo is no longer afraid of the old ancestor Qiyun and Fan Changdong. Even if Qiun Patriarch and others joined forces, he could still remain fearless. But his goal this time was to take down Qiun Patriarch and others. To catch them all in one fell swoop. If a 7th stage late stage cultivator like Fan Changdong and a 7th stage peak cultivator like Qiun Patriarch gave up everything and wanted to escape, he might not be able to keep them now. Is there something wrong? Chen Ronghuo turned his head to look at Chiun Patriarch, with a smile on his face. Did you kill my son Jin Ming? Chiun Patriarch stared at Chen Ronghuo's eyes and asked in a deep voice. Yes. Your own son. If you don't care about him, there will always be someone to help you. Chen Ronghuo nodded directly. You have no way of educating your son, and you have raised a pervert who treats human life as a joke. I think it is a disaster for him to continue to live, so I will help you get rid of him. As soon as these words came out, before Chiun Patriarch had any reaction, Fan Changdong and others opened their mouths wide and looked at Chen Ronghuo in disbelief. They didn't know where Chen Ronghuo got the confidence to dare to provoke Chiun Patriarch in person. Is Chen Ronghuo not afraid of Chiun Patriarch's wrath and fighting to the death? At the same time, after Chen Ronghuo finished speaking, Chiu Yaru, who was standing on the black giant eagle in the distance, suddenly looked cold and looked at Chen Ronghuo frantically. Chen Ronghuo sensed Chiu Yaru's gaze, but ignored it. He had already identified that this woman, the lord of Qingyu territory, was the mother of Meng Jinming who was killed by him. In other words, she was actually in the same group with Chiun Patriarch. According to Chen Ronghuo's estimation, she wanted to join the battlefield just now, probably to take the opportunity to help Chiun Patriarch and eliminate one of Fan Changdong and the other two. Rather than wanting to help Fan Changdong and the other two to deal with Chiun Patriarch. It was precisely because of this that Chen Ronghuo came out at the first time and stopped the battle between the few people. In his view, all the people in front of him were his hunting targets. They were all the sources of the breadth of the law of catastrophe that he had predetermined. He didn't mind if Chiun and his men joined forces, but if they suffered losses due to internal fighting, it would be a huge loss for him. Hissing. The sword rang, and Chiun waved his hand. The flame dragon roar sword in his hand turned into a sharp sword light and rushed straight towards Chen Ronghuo. The sharp sword light arrived in front of Chen Ronghuo in the blink of an eye. The compelling sword intent stimulated Chen Ronghuo's hair to stand up. Since you killed my son Jin Ming, today, use your death to commemorate my son's life. Chiun Patriarch, wearing a flaming robe, stood in the void, his eyes narrowed, as if there were flashes of sword light in them. After spending more than 10 years and using countless precious materials to refine this flaming dragon roar sword, Chiun Patriarch's strength has reached the level of half-step 8th level. Although he is in the weakest group among the half-step 8th level. But no matter what, his combat power has also reached half-step 8th level. Yin yin yin. A sound of dragon roars sounded in front of Chen Ronghuo. Chen Ronghuo's mind moved, and the disaster robe he was wearing suddenly whirred, without wind, and shook out 10 black and grey disaster dragon shadows, facing the flaming dragon roar sword of Chiun Patriarch. Compared with 10 years ago, the disaster robe he was wearing now has reached the 7th grade upper quality. This is the limit of the secret treasure that Chen Ronghuo can refine now. It's not that he is not talented. But his current cultivation is insufficient. He was able to make a 7th level secret treasure thanks to the help of his left hand ability. Otherwise, with his current cultivation and his real refining method, it would be difficult to refine a 7th level lower grade secret treasure. The flame dragon roar sword of the Chiun Patriarch was intercepted by the disaster dragon shadow released by Chen Ronghuo. Although it was a little slower, it still killed Chen Ronghuo resolutely in the blink of an eye. Even if Chen Ronghuo burned the power of faith, his strength was much worse than that of the Chiun Patriarch. In addition, the quality of the disaster robe was not as good as that of the Chiun Patriarch's flame dragon roar sword. In an instant, he fell into a disadvantage. But Chen Ronghuo didn't mind. Seeing that the flame dragon roar sword of the Chiun Patriarch was about to break through the obstruction of the disaster dragon shadow, he raised his hands and turned them into tiger claws, grabbing the flame dragon roar sword in a row. Even if the Chiun Patriarch was stronger than him, it was not so easy to take him down. Boom! At the same time, the big river crab suddenly pulled out its dark crab claws from the sea water, like a curved javelin, breaking through the layers of airwaves with a bang, and attacked the Chiun Patriarch. "Everyone, you won't just stand there and watch, right?" Chen Ronghuo smiled and spoke while resisting the attack of the Chiun Patriarch. Although he was at a disadvantage, he didn't seem to take the Chiun Patriarch seriously. A ball of fire exploded, and after the Chiun Patriarch blocked the attack of the big river crab, he retreated slightly and looked at Fan Changdong and others. The arrival of Chen Ronghuo was indeed a variable for him. In particular, he didn't expect that the strength of Chen Ronghuo and the big river crab had reached the late 7th stage. If it were the previous him, he would probably not be able to do anything to Chen Ronghuo. Hearing Chen Ronghuo's words, Fan Changdong and others in the distance all moved their minds slightly. The Chiun Patriarch, whose combat power increased to half a step to the 8th stage, was too threatening to them. If they can join forces with Chen Ronghuo and get rid of the Chiun Patriarch together, it will be a good thing for them. Qiu Yaru, who was far away, heard Chen Ronghuo's words and her face changed slightly. It is true that the Chiun Patriarch now has the combat power of half a step to the 8th level, but if he faces the siege of 5 late 7th level combat powers, he will definitely be unable to do it. Buzz. 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 Suddenly, a long purple rainbow suddenly rose from a place more than 10 miles away. With the appearance of hundreds of thousands of purple rainbows, a space vortex of tens of meters in size suddenly appeared on the sea surface more than 10 miles away. Seeing this space vortex, Qiu Yaru's mind moved, and suddenly turned into a stream of light, and flew straight there with the black giant eagle under his feet. Whoosh! In a moment, Qiu Yaru was more than 10 miles away and dived into the space vortex. Damn, long hair but short knowledge. Gong Xiao cursed inwardly. At this time, it is definitely the best opportunity to get rid of the Chiun Patriarch. But Qiu Yaru's sudden arrival might make them lose their minds. He glanced at Fan Changdong and Yun Zhengxian, and found that they had indeed changed their expressions. This underwater palace complex was extraordinary at first glance. What would Qiu Yaru get if she entered it first? Humph, I'll let you go this time today. At this time, the eyes of the Chiun Patriarch flashed, and he put away the flame dragon roar sword, and then his body turned into a stream of light and rushed towards the distant space vortex. He knew that it was unlikely for him to take down Chen Ronghuo and others today. So he set his sights on the ruins. The entrance to the ruins was only tens of meters in size, and with the size of the big river crab under Chen Ronghuo's seat, it was obvious that he couldn't get in. In this way, as long as Chen Ronghuo dared to follow him into it, he would kill Chen Ronghuo today. And he was not afraid that after he entered the ruins, Chen Ronghuo and others would go to the Chiun Sea and destroy his Chiun leader. Because with his strength, it is not easy to find the entrance to the other dimension in the gap between the spaces. But after entering the other dimension, if he wants to get out, he only needs a few swords to break a space channel. So he made up his mind to explore roughly after entering the ruins. If there is a treasure that makes him excited, he will take it away as soon as possible. If not, then just come out of the ruins directly. Seeing that the old ancestor Qiyun decisively rushed in from the entrance of the ruins, the faces of Fan Changdong and the other two finally changed completely. Qiu Yaru was better. But if the old ancestor Qiyun, who was much stronger than them, got good fortune in this ruins, wouldn't they be unable to keep their own territory in the future? Brother Chen. Suddenly, Fan Changdong said, let's temporarily put aside our past grudges and enter the ruins together. How about dealing with Qiyun? You have also seen Qiyun's strength. With his strength, if we get any luck in the future, our future life will be difficult. Fan Changdong looked at Chen Ronghuo with burning eyes. Chen Ronghuo is so mysterious. He was worried about Patriarch Qiyun, but he was also worried about Chen Ronghuo. So his plan was that if he could use Chen Ronghuo's power to destroy the Qiyun ancestor, he would then directly join forces with others and remove Chen Ronghuo from the ruins. That's fine. After Chen Ronghuo pondered for a while, he agreed. Seeing Chen Ronghuo agreeing, Fan Changdong and the other two people suddenly showed a hint of joy. Ancestor Qi Yun's strength had grown to half a step to the 8th level, which none of them had expected. If Chen Ronghuo hadn't been with them, the three of them alone might have been wiped out by the Qiun ancestors if they weren't careful. As for Qiu Yaru, who entered the ruins first, they were not optimistic about it. I feel that maybe that woman has been killed by Patriarch Qiun alone. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. After making the decision, several people immediately turned into streams of light together with Chen Ronghuo, and quickly rushed into the space vortex in the distance that was about to close again. Soon after, the sea became calm again. There was only one huge creature, with two large pincers stretching out and shaking in the sea water. Then, several huge space doors suddenly opened on the back of this behemoth, and figures walked out of the space doors. These figures are none other than Chao Chao, Ho San, Meng Tian, Zhangji, Chang Sun, and others. In addition, Zhu Daipen and Li Hai Shui. Chen Ronghuo's demon pets, Fat Cat, Sea and Sky Bird, Devil Mermaid, and Little White Dragon also flew out from the space opened by the big river crab. According to the plan, the five of us will each lead a team and capture the 5 territories of Qiun, Zhouhuang, Ziji, Qingtian, and Qingyu in one fell swoop. Dynasty said to the other legion commanders. Clear. Several people agreed, then led their own teams and quickly headed towards the 5 territories. Among them, Dynasty led Zhu Daipen and Li Hai Shui, aiming at Qiun territory. Ho San took 2 sea and sky sacred birds and went straight to Zhouhuang territory to attack. Meng Tian took the Devil Mermaid with him, aiming directly at Ziji's territory. Zhangji, together with Xiao Beilong, led his Black Silk army and rushed towards the Qingtian territory. Chang Sunyi and several of her brothers led the team, and together with Shamao, they headed towards Qingyu territory. For a moment, the 5 armies seemed to be on the battlefield, and 5 deadly arrows pointed directly at the target's vital points, piercing the wind and breaking through the clouds, and quickly arrived at their respective destinations. At the same time, their 5-pronged army also held the 7th level high-grade curse talismans that Chen Ronghuo had refined over the years. As long as they destroyed 5 territories, they would paste the curse talisman refined by Chen Ronghuo on the statues of the lords who were closely related to the 5 people. Then if they break the statue of their lord, the 5 ancestors of Qiun will be implicated and their strength will be greatly reduced. And this is part of Chen Ronghuo's plan to win the 5-color sea area in one fell swoop this time. His other plan is the ruins that suddenly appeared near Haitian Island. At this time, Jin Qinzan was sitting in that ruins. That ruins is actually the huge ruins left behind by Jin Qinzan's branch of the Jin family that he explored before. It's just that the entrance to the ruins was moved to the vicinity of Haitian Island by Zhen Sanqin under Chen Ronghuo's arrangement. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 411. Alien spaces are common in the world of gods. Some alien spaces are not big and empty with nothing in them. Some alien spaces are extremely huge, and there are even many demons living in them, which are extremely dangerous. Of course, there are also some big forces that will occupy the alien space and use it as their base. This is the situation in this alien space occupied by the descendants of the Jin family. Chen Ronghuo, Fan Changdong, Yun Zhengxian, and Gong Xiao vigilantly passed through the space vortex and entered the ruins. As soon as the 4 of them entered here, they heard a bang and saw Qiu Yaru being blown away to a palace in the distance by Patriarch Qiun. That palace was guarded by formation restrictions. Qiu Yaru crashed into that palace, and the palace flashed with brilliance without any damage. Qiu Yaru fell from the palace, covered in blood, and looked as if she couldn't even stand up. Isn't it possible that you can't do this? When Chen Ronghuo saw this scene, a strange light appeared in his eyes, and he immediately flew over and landed in front of Qiu Yaru, Puff. Chuyaru spat out a mouthful of blood. She was blown away by Patriarch Xuanhuan, and naturally she wanted to perform for Fan Changdong and others, so in fact she was not seriously injured. But when Chen Ronghuo finished speaking, she was so angry that she vomited blood. Chen Ronghuo first killed Meng Jinming, and now he talks to her like this, which can be said to be a new and old grudge. Sure enough, I guessed right. Seeing Chuyaru vomiting blood, Chen Ronghuo suddenly reached out his hand, like a tiger's claw, and grabbed her with a bang. Since it's no longer possible, then I will do a good deed and send her. Get on your way, so you don't suffer anymore. Chen Ronghuo's action was too sudden. As a result, no one expected that he would suddenly attack Chuyaru. Boom! Chen Ronghuo's big hand fell, and the terrifying power shook the void. Like a demon, Chuyaru's figure was directly frozen in place. This is a secret technique called Lock of Power. It can use powerful force to lock the void and restrict the enemy's movements. Over the years, Chen Ronghuo has practiced dozens or hundreds of secret techniques. When fighting, he can do whatever he wants and use the most appropriate secret techniques at the most appropriate time. When the crisis came, Chuyaru's beautiful face showed a ferocious look. Her body burst into flames with a roar, and she quickly escaped from Chen Ronghuo's big hand in the flames. But as soon as she escaped, Chen Ronghuo's big hand quickly grew larger and longer. As if he had expected it, it followed closely behind and hit her with a bang. Boom! Chuyaru's body was knocked away by Chen Ronghuo, and it fell on a palace in the distance again like a broken sack. The palace's brilliance flashed, but it was still intact. But this time Chuyaru was really injured. Puff puff puff. Mouthfuls of blood spit out from Chuyaru's mouth. She stood up from the ground with difficulty. This time she spit out real blood. So you weren't injured just now? Chen Ronghuo put his hands away and stood up. Why are you pretending that you're not injured? If you pretend like this, it's easy for others to misunderstand you. Look, you may have misunderstood now. How bad is this? Chuyaru clenched her fists and looked at Chen Ronghuo with cold eyes. Fan Changdong and the others didn't react until then. But before they could say anything, Ancestor Xuanhuan in the distance turned his attention to Chuyaru. You can even hide it from me by pretending to be injured. It's a good trick for you. It's a pity that your methods have been hidden from me, but not from this one. Then Patriarch Xuanhuan looked at Chen Ronghuo again. You don't seem to be in the same group as them. I'm very curious. What is your purpose? Fan Changdong and others all looked towards Chen Ronghuo with flashing eyes. Of course they knew that Patriarch Xuanhuan was trying to sow discord. It was to drive a wedge between them and Chen Ronghuo, which was already not a strong relationship, but they still wanted to see how Chen Ronghuo would answer. My goal, of course, is the same as yours, which is to kill everyone in the field except myself and become the master of the five-color sea area. Chen Ronghuo smiled calmly and said, so I will join forces with these people now to kill you first. After I kill you, I will attack them. What, is there anything wrong with my thinking like this? Ancestor Xuanhuan frowned. He knew that Chen Ronghuo's purpose was probably what Chen Ronghuo said himself. But now, everyone in the field probably wants to kill everyone else in this ruins. Then he became the lord of the five-color sea area. In addition, he is the person with the strongest cultivation and strength among all the people in the field, so Chen Ronghuo openly stating his purpose will make others relax their vigilance and focus on him again. Really? Ancestor Xuanhuan turned to look at Fan Changdong and others, and saw that Fan Changdong and others had set their sights on him again. Fan Changdong and the others didn't pay much attention to what Chen Ronghuo said just now, that after killing Patriarch Xuanhuan, he would take action against himself and others. Because they had the same idea as Chen Ronghuo, they also planned to kill Chen Ronghuo after killing Ancestor Xuanhuan. In the Rolling Palace complex, a group of people faced each other. At this time, No one had gone to look for any treasures in the ruins, but their murderous intentions towards each other had already reached their peak. At the same time, the space vortex when they came in has also disappeared. Although with their abilities, they can break through the space and leave here. But it will take some time for them to break through the space. I'm going to kill you. Chuyaru got up from the ground in the distance and stared at Chen Ronghuo. She took out an elixir and swallowed it. Under the influence of the elixir, her injuries immediately recovered quickly. Chuyaru, let's talk about things between you later. Don't go crazy first. Hearing Chuyaru's words, Fan Changdong and others frowned. Until this moment, they still had not thought about the fact that Chuyaru and Patriarch Xuanhuan were in the same group. The conflict between Chuyaru and Patriarch Xuanhuan is even greater than the conflict between them and Patriarch Xuanhuan. Because hundreds of years ago, Chuyaru personally killed a son of Patriarch Xuanhuan. They all felt that if something too unbelievable happened or they were forced to do so, the conflict between Chuyaru and Patriarch Xuanhuan would be almost irreconcilable. Therefore, they do not want Chen Ronghuo and Chuyaru to start internal strife at this time. Yin yin yin. Suddenly, there was a sound of sword clanging. When Patriarch Xuanhuan saw that he was unsuccessful in trying to instigate a relationship between Chen Ronghuo and Fan Changdong, he immediately used the flame dragon sword to slash at these people without hesitation. At the beginning, the flame dragon sword was shot from the hands of Ancestor Xuanhuan and was only 3 feet long. But after the long sword flew out, its size increased rapidly, and in the blink of an eye it turned into a giant sword hundreds of meters in size burning with blazing flames. The giant sword struck vertically, shrouding Chen Ronghuo and others inside. Boom boom boom. Seeing the giant sword coming, Chen Ronghuo and 4 others took action one after another to block the giant sword. Chen Ronghuo's body shook, and vast power flowed through his body, like a rushing river, converging the power into his hands. With one punch, a fierce storm blew up. Fan Changdong gathered an icicle the size of a mountain from his hands and struck it horizontally at Patriarch Xuanhuan's giant sword. However, Yun Zhengxian just shook his robe, gathered his momentum, formed a sword of momentum, and slashed at Patriarch Xuanhuan. The last one, Gong Xiao, retreated a little, grabbed a blue longbow, bent the bow and knocked an arrow, and shot a rapidly screaming arrow at Patriarch Xuanhuan. The 4 people took action, shocking the world. If their methods were seen by cultivators below the 5th level, they might be able to scare a large group of people just by their aura. Boom! There was an explosion between heaven and earth. The huge flaming sword condensed by Patriarch Xuanhuan retreated back and returned to its original size. A normal half-step 8th level cultivator can fight 4 late level 7th level cultivators. But Patriarch Xuanhuan is not a normal half-step 8th level. He just has a weak half-step 8th level combat power. Something is wrong here. Suddenly, Patriarch Xuanhuan's expression changed. After one blow, he already knew that with his own strength, he was no match for Chen Ronghuo and the 4 of them. But what made his expression change drastically was that he found that the space here was a little too stable. The sword he had just collided with Chen Ronghuo and the 4 of them only caused a few ripples in this alien space, but failed to cut through this space. At the same time, Fan Changdong and others also discovered this. Don't hold back. We must keep him here this time. Otherwise, when we go back, he will hide in Xuanhuan's territory and we won't be able to do anything to him. With one blow, Patriarch Xuanhuan's strength was tested to the limit. Fan Changdong and others showed joy in their eyes. Coupled with the discovery that the space barrier here was stronger than they imagined, their determination to kill Patriarch Xuanhuan immediately reached its peak. Boom! Chen Ronghuo did not answer, but expressed his determination with actions. He punched out again, and the strong law of power crisscrossed his body, causing his punch to break through layers of air waves and approach the front of Patriarch Xuanhuan. Kill kill kill! Fan Changdong and the other 2, together with Chen Ronghuo, launched a frantic attack on Ancestor Xuanhuan. They all know that this time is their best chance to get rid of Patriarch Xuanhuan. Once they miss this opportunity, it will be difficult for them to get rid of Patriarch Xuanhuan in the future. Even they themselves will be eliminated by Ancestor Xuanhuan. In the distance, Qiuyaru showed an anxious look. Suddenly, she grabbed a sword and rushed toward the battlefield. At the same time, he shouted, "Chen Ronghuo, let's settle the grievances between us later." As she spoke, she had already entered the battlefield and stabbed out with her sword. When Fan Changdong and others were attacking Ancestor Xuanhuan, they all looked at Chen Ronghui and heaved a sigh of relief after seeing that there was no difference in Chen Ronghui's expression. At this time, they didn't want any trouble to occur. Yin. But at this moment, Qiuyaru rushed into the battlefield and thrust out a sword. The sword that was originally intended to stab Xuanhuan Ancestor suddenly turned around. Like a meteor that was suddenly changed by the gravity of the stars, it suddenly deflected towards Gong Xiao, who was closest to her. "Qiuyaru, what are you doing?" Gong Xiao's expression suddenly changed. At this time, he was trying his best to resist the attack of Patriarch Xuanhuan. When Qiuyaru made a sneak attack on Gong Xiao, Patriarch Xuanhuan suddenly increased the intensity of his attack on Gong Xiao, as if he had a tacit understanding. Puff! Gong Xiao was caught off guard and was directly attacked by Qiuyaru. Qiuyaru used a sword to penetrate his body from the side. After the sword pierced through Gong Xiao's body, Qiuyaru immediately used her strength to transfer it into Gong Xiao's body and cut him into pieces. Now, 2 against 3. Seeing Qiuyaru's successful sneak attack, Qiyun Patriarch smiled. Facing the siege of Chen Ronghuo and the other 4, he could hardly resist. But now there were only 3 people left, and Qiuyaru didn't need to take action, he could handle it alone. "Qiuyaru, do you know what you are doing?" Fan Changdong and Yun Zhengxian were both furious when they saw this scene. Of course, in their anger, they also felt deep fear. But neither Qiyun Patriarch, who was feeling proud of himself, nor Fan Changdong and Yun Zhengxian, who were shocked and angry, saw that just when Qiuyaru was about to use her strength to completely kill Gong Xiao, her body suddenly stagnated, as if her strength was sealed by some strange secret technique. For a while, she was unable to complete the action she had expected. Whoosh! The next moment, a figure suddenly appeared between Qiuyaru and Gong Xiao, as if flying from the sky. He stretched out his hand, grabbed Qiuyaru's long sword, and pulled her long sword out of Gong Xiao's body. "Thank you, a lot." Gong Xiao only reacted at this time. He looked at Chen Ronghuo, who was close at hand, and thanked him while stabilizing his injuries. Bang! Chen Ronghuo raised his hand and slapped Gong Xiao's heart. The majestic power burst out quickly, killing him and flying him out. Gong Xiao's eyes widened. When he flew backwards and his consciousness faded, he seemed to have not figured out why Chen Ronghuo had just saved him, but would attack him again. "Chen Ronghuo, you!" Fan Changdong and Yun Zhengxian in the distance were also confused. I don't know why Chen Ronghuo suddenly went crazy. He had obviously saved Gong Xiao, but he followed him and killed Gong Xiao. What? Chen Ronghuo turned his head. "You didn't see that he has no fighting power, did you? Without fighting power, he will be killed by one of us sooner or later. In this case, I will kill him with my own hands and leave him a complete body. I believe he will be grateful to me after his death, right?" Suddenly, Fan Changdong and Yun Zhengxian were speechless by Chen Ronghuo. It seems to be true, but they don't know why. They always feel a little awkward. Okay. At this time, Chen Ronghuo felt the breath of the law of calamity that flowed into his body after killing Gong Xiao. While secretly speeding up the refining, he said, "This woman belongs to me, and this old man belongs to you. Don't worry, I will kill this woman as soon as possible, and then help you." As he spoke, he set his eyes on Qiuyaru, and rushed over quickly. Next, this woman is no longer useful. Thanks to the book friend Hu Zhongtang for the 10,000 coin reward, and the book friend and Yusheng for the 100 coin reward landing 300 years in advance. Author, Chao Ji Dupeng. Chapter 412. Chen Ronghuo. Fan Changdong and Yun Zhensuan's eyelids twitched. You'd better not play tricks, otherwise, today, all of us will have to explain here. Qiuyaru, who was least likely to be in contact with the Chiun patriarch, actually betrayed, which was something they had never expected. Coupled with the series of actions after Chen Ronghuo arrived, they had to be vigilant, worried about any more accidents. Don't worry. Chen Ronghuo squeaked, and he was already in front of Qiuyaru. He stretched out his big hand, burning black and red flames, and at the same time, endless momentum formed a vortex, condensed in his palm, and rotated rapidly, like a black hole, swallowing the sky and the earth. In the center of the black hole, there was a 9-headed, 1,000-handed terrifying monster, staring at Qiuyaru with countless eyes. Spreading disaster. Depriving luck. Casting curses. Captivating people's minds. After so many years of cultivation, although Chen Ronghuo's cultivation has not improved, his fighting methods have been enriched by who knows how much. This move of his uses the law of disaster, the law of calamity, the law of curse, and the law of soul as its core, and attacks the enemy's soul from within. The outside combines the law of immortality, the law of blood, the law of force, and the law of fire to attack the enemy's true body. If Fat Cat and his contracted demons were here, he could also use their power to bless himself and make this move even more powerful. Return to one. This is the name Chen Ronghuo gave to this move he created. Return to one, which means that all things return to one. The name is very common, and this move was only created by Chen Ronghuo after integrating many secret techniques. But its power and potential are beyond doubt. Yin yin yin. Qiuyaru held a sword in her hand and slashed at Chen Ronghuo crazily. She is a pure warrior who practices the law of sword. The sword slashed out with a majestic momentum, cutting through thorns and brambles, as if she could smash all obstacles in front of her into pieces and cut out a road to heaven. There are many people who practice the law of sword in the world of gods. But different people have different understandings of the law of sword. Qiuyaru's understanding is obviously to turn the sword into a powerful tool to cut through thousands of mountains and obstacles. At this time, Chen Ronghuo standing in front of him is a mountain in her eyes, an obstacle. And what she has to do is to use the sword in her hand to cut Chen Ronghuo flat. Boom boom boom. Chen Ronghuo and Qiuyaru fought fiercely. He grabbed with his claws, and each claw changed in thousands of ways. Sometimes the power is so strong that it seems to be able to grab mountains. Sometimes the flames are as blazing as the black and red sun. Sometimes the dim light flows, and the 9 heads and thousands of hands in the Dharma form are open, revealing a cold and dead meaning. Qiuyaru can't adapt to Chen Ronghuo's colorful fighting style at all. In addition, Chen Ronghuo burns the power of faith, and his strength is stronger than hers. Even if she tries her best to dance with the sword, she is still beaten back by Chen Ronghuo. Come on, kill me. I just beat you like that, don't you hate me? I also killed your son, your enemy is right in front of you, why are you hiding? I understand, you don't love your son at all, right? Chen Ronghuo merged language with soul law, performed secret techniques, stimulated Qiuyaru's mind, and made her more crazy. Qiuyaru roared wildly, I want you to die, I want you to die. Hearing what the two said, Fan Changdong and Yun Zhengxian finally reacted. Chen Ronghuo, you said you killed Qiuyaru's son, could it be that Qiuyaru's son is Meng Jinming? Yes, you just found out. Chen Ronghuo smiled lightly. You knew Qiuyaru was in the same group with Chiun Patriarch a long time ago, why didn't you say it? The two looked extremely ugly. At this time, they were completely suppressed by Xuanhuan Patriarch, just like Chen Ronghuo suppressed Qiu Yaru. Swish. Suddenly, a sword light came from a distance, pointing directly at Chen Ronghuo. It was Xuanhuan Patriarch who found that Qiu Yaru could not hold on any longer and wanted to stop Chen Ronghuo. When Chen Ronghuo was killing Qiu Yaru, he caught a glimpse of the sword light from the corner of his eye. His mind moved, and his robe was shaking. 10 disaster dragon shadows rushed out and crushed the sword light into pieces in the rotation. What's the use of thinking about those things now? You guys should be serious and help me hold Xuanhuan back, so that I can help you after I kill this woman. Chen Ronghuo tilted his head and continued to press Qiu Yaru, while speaking lightly. Fan Changdong and Yun Zhengxian were both filled with anger from Chen Ronghuo. Since entering this ruins, they have become Chen Ronghuo's pawns. It seems that everything is going according to Chen Ronghuo's arrangement. Puff. Suddenly, Qiu Yaru vomited a mouthful of blood. When she entered the ruins before, she was attacked by Chen Ronghuo and was seriously injured. She only suppressed it by taking pills. At this time, she was fighting fiercely with Chen Ronghuo. She was stimulated by Chen Ronghuo again and again, and the special effect of the law of catastrophe deprived her of her luck. The injuries she had suffered before finally broke out. Seal. Chen Ronghuo identified Qiu Yaru's condition, and with the thought, he immediately used the sealing technique of the ancient book to slightly seal Qiu Yaru's power. Return to 1. Then he did not hesitate at all, and used all his strength to activate the secret technique of returning to 1, raising his own strength to the limit, and clawed at Qiu Yaru with all his strength. Boom! The powerful force flowed through Chen Ronghuo's body like a big river. He stretched out a claw, as if with the power to suppress thousands of mountains and rivers. With a bang, it landed on the seriously injured Qiu Yaru. Qiu Yaru laid a continuous sword rain in front of her, which was like the last rain when autumn turned to winter, with a slight cool feeling. But this sword rain could not reverse the cycle of the 4 seasons after all. Under the terrifying claws of Chen Ronghuo, it collapsed inch by inch with a bang. The overwhelming force acted on Qiu Yaru, Qiu Yaru's eyes bulged, and her body was like a small boat in a tsunami, swept by the terrifying force and flew backwards. Her body was already stained with blood. With one blow, Qiu Yaru became the second 7th level cultivator to die at the hands of Chen Ronghuo in this relic. After killing Qiu Yaru, Chen Ronghuo turned his head and set his eyes on the old ancestor Xuanhuan. At this time, the power in his body was boiling and flowing, as if it had reached its limit and was about to undergo a qualitative transformation. At the same time, under the influence of a large amount of the breath of the law of calamity, his consciousness was infinitely active, as if swimming in the ocean of laws. Soul law, force law, disaster law, calamity law. The various laws he comprehended were gradually jumping from half-step 7th level to 7th level. Half-step 7th level and 7th level are 2 completely different concepts. This can be seen from the fact that in the previous Holy Tiger sect, 6th level practitioners could only serve as peak masters, while 7th level strongmen could serve as great elders. Although Chen Ronghuo's current strength can be comparable to that of a late 7th level practitioner, his cultivation has not yet reached the 7th level. I'm about to break through. Chen Ronghuo's mind moved slightly. After the breakthrough, if I return to the Holy Tiger sect, I'm afraid few people will dare to question me. But if it's just the early stage of the 7th level, it's still a little weak. This time, if I can take down Qiyun, Fan Changdong, Yun Zhengxian and their territories, the breath of the law of calamity I get can even allow me to break through to the late 7th level, or even the peak of the 7th level. By then, I'm afraid that ordinary 8th level practitioners will not be able to do anything to me, right? Chen Ronghuo knew that as long as he broke through this time, it would be a big breakthrough. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 413. Chen Ronghuo. Qiyun Patriarch fixed his eyes on Chen Ronghuo, his eyes spitting fire. Killing his wife? Killing his son? He really hated Chen Ronghuo now. He had dominated the five-color sea area for so many years, but this was the first time he was bullied like this. Fan Changdong, Yun Zhengxian. Suddenly, he turned his eyes and looked at Fan Changdong and Yun Zhengxian, his mind slightly moved. There is no life and death feud between us. If you are willing to submit to me, I can spare your lives. Otherwise, even if I use forbidden techniques today, I will kill all of you. However, Chen Ronghuo's successive performances finally made him alert. He was worried that Chen Ronghuo had some trump card, so he was so unscrupulous. So he turned his eyes to Fan Changdong and Yun Zhengxian, wanting to use coercion and inducement to once again alienate the relationship between them and Chen Ronghuo. Fan Changdong and Yun Zhengxian looked at each other, and both felt that they were riding a tiger and it was difficult to get off. Qiyun Patriarch was very strong. But Chen Ronghuo was too mysterious. At this time, they were just like the old ancestor Qiyun, and they were also worried about Chen Ronghuo. Wait a minute. Chen Ronghuo looked at the three people, but did not take action immediately. Instead, he took a breath, as if the battle just now made him a little tired. The three looked at each other, wondering what Chen Ronghuo was doing. Hu. Chen Ronghuo panted out breath by breath. The breath he exhaled was pure spiritual energy. If these spiritual energies were obtained by some low-level practitioners, they would probably be regarded as treasures and kept for slow enjoyment. But for Chen Ronghuo, these spiritual energies were all of poor quality. His cultivation level broke through from the 7th level of the half-step to the 7th level. Not only did he deepen his understanding of the power of the law, but he also made the law talisman officially reach the 7th transformation. At the same time, the power in his body also transformed with the transformation of the law talisman. A brand new power was derived in Chen Ronghuo's body. This is a more powerful force, and it fits him better. He can mobilize it at will, and exert a more powerful power when performing martial arts secrets. Every time a cultivator improves his cultivation, especially when he advances to a higher level, he will undergo a transformation of his whole body and mind. This is a transformation of the essence of life. As Chen Ronghuo exhaled his last breath, the obscure aura on his body suddenly dissipated, revealing his true cultivation after the breakthrough. 7th level, it is indeed a different realm. Chen Ronghuo felt the changes in his body, whispered to himself, and smiled. 7th level. You just broke through to the 7th level. At this time, Qiyun Lizu, Fan Changdong, and Yun Zhengxian, who were originally fighting fiercely, all stopped. They set their eyes on Chen Ronghuo, all with deep shock and disbelief. It was not until then that they knew that Chen Ronghuo, whose strength had reached the late 7th level, had only a half-step 7th level before. With a cultivation base of half a step to the 7th level, he could actually compete with a cultivator in the late 7th level. They all felt that their brains were not enough. Especially now, Chen Ronghuo's cultivation base, for some unknown reason, actually broke through at this time. Breakthrough to the official 7th level. Yes, I just broke through to the 7th level. Chen Ronghuo raised his head and glanced at the three ancestors of Qiyun. Speaking of which, I was able to break through thanks to you. But it's just the early 7th level, which is still not enough. Fan Changdong, Yun Zhengxian, are you still hesitating? Suddenly, the ancestor Qiyun interrupted Chen Ronghuo's words, looked at Fan Changdong and Yun Zhengxian and said, I don't know what this person is planning. If you continue to follow him to target me, I'm afraid that in the end you will be swallowed by him without even a bone left. Just like the idiot Gong Xiao who just died. Fan Changdong and Yun Zhengxian looked at each other, and hesitation and struggle appeared on their faces. They were originally the overlords of the five-color sea area. But now, they have become two big trees that will be cut down if they stand in the wrong position. It's useless. Chen Ronghuo shook his head. He has decided not to drag it on. Using the power of Fan Changdong and Yun Zhengxian to eliminate the old ancestor Qi Yun, or using the power of the old ancestor Qi Yun to kill Fan Changdong and Yun Zhengxian, will affect his acquisition of the breath of the law of robbery. At this time, he has enough strength, so he naturally doesn't need to fight for the greatest benefit between the cracks of several people like before. The eyes of the old ancestor Qi Yun, Fan Changdong, and Yun Zhengxian are all fixed, not knowing what Chen Ronghuo means. At this time, Chen Ronghuo turned his head slightly and said calmly, "Zhenkinzan, the two of them are left to you." "Yes." A cold voice sounded. "Is there anyone else in this relic?" Several people were suddenly shocked. When this relic just appeared, they rushed in. How could there be other people inside? Several people were terrified. They quickly raised their heads and looked in the direction where Chen Ronghuo's eyes and voice came from. Soon they saw a light flashing in a hall in the distance, and a figure in white clothes and white hair slowly walked out of it. After walking out of the hall, the figure looked at them quietly without any expression. It seemed that they were not surprised to see them here. Or they seemed to be very familiar with them. It's you, you set up all this. 10 years ago, you set up this game." Seeing Zhenkinzan appear, Fan Changdong seemed to have thought of something, and suddenly turned his head, pointing at Chen Ronghuo with a changed expression. "What layout or no layout?" Chen Ronghuo shook his head. "I am just a small person, just to avoid being bullied by you, I thought about it and decided to kill you here. Return to 1. Demon Flame." While speaking, he had raised his right hand and performed a move in the Return to 1 secret art, burning a blazing black and red flame, grabbing the Chiun Patriarch. The 7th and 8th level strongmen in the world of the gods have lived for thousands of years, and tens of thousands of years. But the secret arts created by these strongmen are rarely as strong as Chen Ronghuo's Return to 1 secret art. This is because Chen Ronghuo's foundation is too strong, and the second is because he has ancient books in his hands, and he can have countless secret arts as reference. For other practitioners, it is difficult to obtain too many other secret arts. Yin. With the sound of dragon roar, the old ancestor Qi Yun controlled the flame dragon roar sword, which turned into a fiery red flame dragon, and collided with Chen Ronghuo's big hand burning black flames. There was a deafening roar. Chen Ronghuo's Return to 1 secret technique includes a total of 9 moves. He named it casually. All the names of the moves have a sense of a big devil. He named the 9 moves after the word Return to 1, namely, Magic Flame, Magic Soul, Magic Disaster, Magic Disaster, Magic Spell, Magic Contract, Magic Blood, Magic Change, and the last Magic Power. Obviously, these 9 moves are created by him based on the 9 kinds of law power he comprehended. Of course, these 9 moves are still in the early stage. It will take a lot of time to perfect them in the future. According to his deduction from ancient books, he knows that the strong in the world of gods will have their own secret techniques that are most suitable for themselves. Now he also plans to take this path. At the same time, only the strong who walk their own way are the real strong. At this time, he performed the unification. Magic Flame secret art, which is a secret art based on the law of fire and supplemented by other laws. With the blessing of various laws, the black flame burning on Chen Ronghuo's hand was pure and blazing, like a king in the flame. Although the cultivation of Qi Yun Patriarch was higher than Chen Ronghuo, and he was also a person who could challenge him, when he used the Sword of the Dragon transformation secret art to fight with Chen Ronghuo, the flame burning by the flame dragon of the sword was gradually suppressed by the black and red flame in Chen Ronghuo's hand. It was like a minister meeting a king. Fortunately, although Qiyun Patriarch also comprehended the law of fire, his most important foundation was still the law of sword. Otherwise, he would probably lose to Chen Ronghuo directly. However, even so, he only had a slight advantage in fighting with Chen Ronghuo, and could not suppress Chen Ronghuo completely. One had a cultivation level as high as the peak of the 7th level, and the other had just entered the 7th level. Qiyun Patriarch fought with Chen Ronghuo, but the fight turned out like this, which made him look very ugly. "You two, let's have some sparring too." Boom. In the distance, after Chen Ronghuo and Qiyun Patriarch fought, Zhen Qinzan took a step forward, waved his hand, and immediately set up a strange formation with Fan Changdong and Yun Zhengxian as the center, trapping the two inside. This was the formation he had set up a long time ago. "It's still a little short. I'm still too weak." When Chen Ronghuo fought with Qiyun Patriarch, he kept holding the Pearl of Disaster in his left hand, using various secret techniques in turn, and even burning a lot of faith power, but the result was like this, which made him shake his head. At the same time, while fighting fiercely with Chen Ronghuo, Qiyun Patriarch glanced into the distance. When he saw that Fan Changdong and Yun Zhengxian, who were trapped in the formation, could only barely compete with Zhen Qinzan who controlled the formation even if they joined forces, his face changed again and again. "Chen Ronghuo." Suddenly, the Qiyun Patriarch shouted, "You are weaker than me. You can't take me down this time. How about we each take a step back? The 5-color sea area is very large. You and I are half of it, which is enough." Although he felt that Chen Ronghuo would definitely not be able to do anything to him with his own strength, Chen Ronghuo was too calm. This calmness always made him feel uneasy. In addition, it was Chen Ronghuo who led them here after all. So after a fierce battle, he couldn't help but test it. In the distance, Fan Changdong and Yun Zhengxian, who were trapped in the formation by Zhen Qinzan, both changed their faces slightly. Qiyun Patriarch and Chen Ronghuo divided the 5-color sea area equally, so what about them? Chen Ronghuo looked up at Qiyun Patriarch and smiled, "My strength is weaker than yours?" That was before and now. Qiyun Patriarch's eyes were stern, staring at Chen Ronghuo. "Why, can you break through your cultivation again like you did just now?" Chen Ronghuo did not answer. His eyes were erratic, as if he saw the outside through the ruins. He saw the several armies he had sent out, which were attacking Qiyun territory and other territories with great force. Landing 300 years in advance. Author, Xiaoji Depeng. Chapter 414. Zhou Huangxi. Ho San led 2 sea and sky birds and his demon ape army to gallop all the way, like a black wind blowing over the sea. Not long after Chen Ronghuo entered the ruins and fought with the old ancestor Qiyun, he rushed to the Zhouhuang territory. After Fan Changdong left, the Zhouhuang territory immediately activated the island protection formation. The layers of light of the formation enveloped it, like rolling mountains, turning into a yellow earth color, covering the entire Zhouhuang island. Who is coming? In addition to Fan Changdong, the only 7th-level cultivator in the Zhouhuang territory, Wan Qi, saw Ho San and others coming aggressively, and his face suddenly showed a solemn expression. "Ho San, the 1st Legion commander of the Hexi territory, is here to destroy the Zhouhuang territory under the order of my lord. All the people in the Zhouhuang territory, those who obey will live, and those who disobey will die." Ho San led the team to stop in front of the Zhouhuang territory and spoke in a cold voice. "Hexi territory." Wan Kai's heart tightened slightly. In fact, when he saw the 2 sea and sky birds beside Ho San, he had already expected it. But he still forced himself to calm down and pretended to be disdainful. "How shameless! Although my lord is not in the territory now, my Zhouhuang territory is not something you trash can break through. If I were you, I would leave quickly. Otherwise, when my lord returns, you may not be able to leave even if you want to. On a street in Xuanhuan territory, a hunchbacked old man was handing a bunch of candied fruits to his grandson. The old man's grandson was a child who looked to be in his teens and dressed gorgeously. The child raised his head, as if he saw the situation outside through the formation of Xuanhuan territory. "Grandpa, let's not enter these territories in the future. Wherever we go to a territory, that territory will be unlucky. The last time we went to Bayou territory was destroyed. This time, we came to Xuanhuan territory, and it has been less than a day, and Xuanhuan territory has ushered in a war. Tell me, is this caused by the curse on me?" "Nonsense." The old man glared. "The curse on you just prevents you from growing up. What does it have to do with bad luck or not? The bad luck of these territories is all the trouble they caused themselves. What does it have to do with us?" But after saying that, he sighed, touched the child's head and said, "Xiaojin, don't worry, I will definitely find a way to remove your curse." Clang! Clang! At this time, as soon as Wanqi's voice fell, 2 sea and sky divine birds chirped, hovered above the island protection formation of Xuanhuan territory, and slashed out a series of sharp space blades at the island protection formation. Their cultivation has now reached the middle stage of the 7th stage. With their talents, they can already fight with ordinary practitioners of the late 7th stage. Space blades slashed down one after another, like bright white lightning. They hit the island protection formation of Xuanhuangling, causing ripples. How could these two birds become so strong? In the formation, Wanqi, who presided over the formation, was terrified. Those practitioners of Xuanhuangling who followed him to input power into the formation were even more shocked. Ho San led the army and stood in the void in the distance. He took a few glances at the formation that was crumbling under the attack of the 2 sea and sky birds, and felt that if it continued like this, it might take a while for the stalemate to break the formation. Heavenly Ape Divine Stick. So he moved his mind, and his body suddenly became more than 10 meters tall. At the same time, he grabbed a larger and longer stick, raised it above his head, and with a bang, smashed it towards the island protection formation of Xuanhuangling. Boom! 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 Ho San's sticks fell on the island protection formation, and the violent power surged into the formation, as if a match had ignited a gunpowder barrel, making a roar. Inside the formation, Wanqi and other practitioners who were inputting power into the formation all had red faces. As soon as Ho San joined in, they all felt a huge pressure. Late 7th stage. It's a power comparable to the late 7th stage again. Wanqi felt that his heart was about to jump out of his chest. He couldn't think of how a mere river crab leader who was a flash in the pan could become so strong all of a sudden. You know, their lord is only in the late 7th stage. And now, a random person or two birds from Xuanhuan territory actually have the strength of the late 7th stage. Heavenly Ape Battle Body. It's the Heavenly Ape Battle Body, it's the Heavenly Ape Battle Body, and it looks like the bloodline is incredibly pure. At the same time, the old man in Xuanhuan territory who brought his grandson, after seeing Ho San's move, suddenly shot out a blazing light in his eyes. I don't know which master of Wang Island this bloodline is from. Looking at him, it seems that he has not been baptized by the original blood pool. Xiaojin, suddenly, the old man looked at his grandson. This time there is a way. As long as I report this bloodline of an unknown master, we will definitely get the reward from Wang Island. Then I may ask the strong men of Wang Island to remove the curse for you. Crack. As soon as the old man finished speaking, the island protection formation of Xuanhuan territory broke with a crack under Ho San's continuous attack. Ho San took a step forward and walked into the broken formation. Because of the battle just now, his aura was as fierce as a volcano that had just erupted and had not yet completely subsided. Die or surrender. As soon as he entered the territory, Ho San set his sights on Wanqi, who was forced by the formation and suffered a little backlash. At the same time, in Qian territory. Boom! With a loud noise, Wang Chao, Zhu Daipen, and Li Haishui joined forces and broke through the island protection formation of Qian territory at almost the same time as Ho San. In addition to the Qian Patriarch, there are two 7th level practitioners in Qian territory. One is in the early 7th level, named Yu Jingchen. The other is in the middle 7th level, named Ji Yet. The one who controlled the territory formation before was mainly Ji Yet. At this time, the formation of Qian territory was broken. Seeing that the situation was not good, Ji Yet wanted to escape immediately. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. He had only run a few steps when Wang Chao shot a bow and arrow, and stopped him with several consecutive arrows. Little bastard, your grandpa Zhu is here, you still want to run? Zhu Daipen yelled without any image, displayed the immortal magic, rushed forward, and fought madly with Ji Yet. Facing his desperate and tough fighting style, Ji Yet fell into a disadvantage in a few rounds. Boom! A moment later, Ji Yet, with the help of Li Haishui and Wang Chao's sharp archery, was slapped on the head by Zhu Daipen with a bang, and flew backwards. Then Wang Chao shot several arrows, piercing his chest, and he was completely dead. My lords, I surrender. Seeing this scene, Yu Jingchen, who was originally planning to sneak away, hurriedly stood up in fear. Surrender. Zhu Daipen glanced at Yu Jingchen and said carelessly, since you surrender, just stand there and don't move. When we finish the work and let you move, you can move again. Yes, yes. Yu Jingchen agreed, cursing in his heart. But on the surface, he did not dare to disrespect Zhu Daipen. Of course, at this moment, he was also incredible in his heart. How can this Hexi territory be so strong? After suppressing the Qian territory by force, the group confirmed that there was no danger and immediately came to the statue of the Lord of the Qian Patriarch. Looking at the Lord statue of Qian Patriarch, Zhu Daipen waved his hand and took out a talisman and a blood-red awl. These things were given to them by Chen Ronghuo before they came. Snap! Zhu Daipen first pasted the talisman in his hand on the Lord statue of Qian Patriarch, and then waved his other hand and stabbed the blood-red awl at the Lord statue of Qian Patriarch. Bang bang bang! Zhu Daipen held the blood-red awl in his hand and stabbed the Lord statue of Qian Patriarch again and again. Every time he dropped the awl on the statue of Qian Patriarch, the statue would vibrate, as if it was stimulated and felt pain. This awl is also a special secret treasure refined by Chen Ronghuo, called the awl for stabbing villains. It will work wonders if used with the curse talisman he refined. Thanks to the book friend Laughing at Life for the 200 coin reward.